So this is where we left off last time. We have finished the box itself, but we haven't done the bottom, and that needs to be cleaned up. And the way to do that is to take the amount of material that's still left here. I'm going to convert this into a tenon, thread it, screw this on, do the bottom. So we could then convert what's left over here into a lid, like so. But I've also found that if we had some extra material left over from someplace else, like maybe a hunk like this, we could have turned a lid that's contrasting. There's no difference, exactly the same. Put the piece in here, do all the steps I'm getting ready to do now, but out of a different material. I'm not going to do that. It's just simply because I'm going to save this piece here for another project. So what I want to do is, first of all, flatten this off a little bit. I'm still running at very low speeds. It says I'm running around 500 RPM, and that's just fine. I'm scraping with my shallow fluted gouge. And all I want to do is create a surface that's flat enough that I can put a mark on it. That's good enough. So, as you saw in the earlier video, for me to make a piece that fits here, I have to measure the inside of this. And we know that that threaded tenon has to be larger and I'm telling you to try about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to take this and come out here about 1/8. So this will be larger than I need, and I will turn that down by threading until it fits. So let me put a mark on here to identify the diameter I want to set as my maximum. That's why I wanted that surface clean, just to put that little mark on there. And so let's clear the deck here so I don't knock anything off. And what I'm going to do is create a tenon here that I will thread. I'm going to make it longer than what I need, and I'll shorten it later. So let's loose some material. I know I'm making noise. Don't really much care right now. This is just taking off material. I could have done this with a bowl gouge equally well. Maybe with less noise. Well, different noise. Hear that little tapping? That's because I stuck the sharp edge into the material and I got a little catch in there. Since I'm turning it away, it doesn't matter, but that's what you have to identify. So I'm going to take this down to about where that mark is. A little more carefully this time. Pressure is against it. I'm just waiting. I'm not pushing. I'm just waiting for the material to cut away. That's pretty close. Just trying to cut it straight. Okay. There's times for parting tools, and this is time I'm going to use a larger parting tool, not one of the smaller ones, simply to square up this corner. And I want this straight. It's getting close to the mark. And it looks pretty, no, not quite straight. This is where a larger parting tool helps a little bit here to. Now I'm just making sure by looking over the back edge that this is as parallel as I can get it. I can always test it. Lost my little ruler. What I'm going to do is lay my ruler down here along the shaft and see if that's straight. It's not, actually. It's aiming in just a little bit, means I need to take more off the back edge. And I'm going to use the thinner parting tool because I just need a little bit off. It's important that this is straight. Let's check it again. Just a little bit more and we'll be done. Okay, now I'm going to cut threads on that. I'm going to create a little bit of a relief groove here in the back. And I may need to work on that more later, but what I want to start doing is turning threads on this portion until it fits my box. So I'll make sure this corner is a little bit rounded here so I can have a place to start it. Good enough. So we have some threads started, which means it should be easy for me to come back in and pick up and continue that threading. But now I can hold the box up here from time to time and see if I'm getting close. That tacking was the tool rest just touching the edge of the chuck. So I'm taking a look to see how much more I have to take off. Not a lot. So I have to be cautious about not overdoing it because I can't put it back on. I'm slowing it down just a little bit. And I'm going to stop a lot and check, and off and on. See, as you get close, the difference between not fitting and fitting perfectly and being too loose is maybe one cut. So I got to be cautious. Now I've gone lower than my relief cut back here. So I'm going to increase the release cut. Okay. My trusty toothbrush is going to be helpful. Keep these threads clean. You know, close is so close. Let's go. It looks like we are very close. And we just keep doing this until it fits. I can make one small adjustment. I can bring the tool rest over here a little closer, and maybe just a smidge higher. Just adjusting it for comfort more than anything else. Right on the edge. Okay, now it's getting a little tight down here, which means they're not quite as straight as I thought. So I need to take a little bit more off at the bottom. And that's about it. And we go on to the next step. And if I look down on this, I can actually see that it's more shaped like that than parallel. So what I'm going to do is it works, but it's a little tight. And we need that relief groove back again. Not much, just a little bit. Oh, almost. It has to go all the way to the bottom, that's for sure. This is the point where I can go too far if I'm not careful. Now, I can finish the bottom. And that's going to be my shallow fluted gouge coming across here, I think. And it's not running quite straight, but that's okay. Didn't have it on tight. And I'm scraping. Good enough. Little 220. Since you've seen me sand, I'm not going to do a lot of this, but there's the 220, the 400. A little bit of the steel wool. And we can polish that out. I'm just going to use our hot crystal coat. Just a drop of that will do it. And the box is done, but the top is not. So we finished the box. We created, in essence, a jam chuck for it. I'll set this aside. Let's clean this up just a little bit here. And we know we don't need it that long. That's a lot to screw in. So what we're going to now do is shorten that just a little bit. I want to leave it long enough that I had enough to feel comfortable when I'm cutting the threads. And what I want to do is just shorten that a little bit. So go back to my shallow fluted gouge, increase the speed just a bit. That's probably long enough. I'm going to put just a little bit of a chamfer on here to make it easier to screw it in. Okay. So now we have to create the top, the lid, and we have material to do that. So I'm going to be cutting on the outside here now and creating a shape that's pleasing. Oop. Make sure everything's locked down. This is going to be the bottom side of the lid, where it wraps around to going to kind of undercut it just a little bit. The fact that we have threads on there grabs that material really well, even when I don't want it to. If I cut slowly and just barely touch it, I'll reduce a lot of the sanding I have to do later. Now the lid is like the vessel itself. I'm not going to be able to finish it without creating another jam chuck. So I'll do as much of it as I can. Using my shallow fluted gouge for a lot of this, because I keep thinking of like a bead. And this is the tool I'd use to cut a bead if I was working in wood. So you get closer to the 4-jaw chuck, more opportunity for things to grab. Come out of there. Only with a little bit of help. So you can see the lid beginning to shape. I'm literally just resting the tool against there, not pushing at all. created a little bit of chatter by pushing, and now I hear the chatter because it's still there and I'm trying to cut it off, get rid of it. So I need to cut underneath here just a little bit. Let's make this a little smaller. Probably, that's where the lid's probably going to end up there. I'm going to use my parting tool. Actually, I'm doing a little bit of the shaping with it. Some other stuff. Even the edge of the parting tool works. I think I want this cut a little bit more underneath. Okay. So I think that's about as far as I can go without parting this thing off. And finishing it through another jam chuck. So let's see if I can get most of that stuff out of here. It's a little 220. Finish my shaping. On acrylic, 220 works just about like 80 grit would be on a piece of wood. I'm still shaping here and also removing a lot of marks. Go to 400. Same process we did on the box. But I can do this part right now because I have access to it. Just touch my thread here for a second just to be sure it's nice. And little steel wool. And we can polish that a little bit. Okay, so 80% of the lid is done, but not the top. So I'm going to have to part this off, make another jam chuck. This will be an interior jam chuck with the threads cut into the hole. So let's part this off. down to under an inch. And I'm going to block the camera a little bit here because I got to hold on to the stopper, the lid. There it goes. So this side has to now be done. And so what we now need to do is to work on this and create another jam chuck. Let's flatten it out a little bit. So let's think here a second. Looking for my calipers, which are probably buried under all of this. So anyway, I know that this is the size. Zero this out. This is the size we need. But we know this hole has to be bigger than that. That was in millimeters. I'm going to put that into inches. So that's about 870. And I want to make it 1/8 of an inch bigger. So come out here, 0.1. .25. Okay, lock it. Mark it. That's the one. Now, I need to create a hole in here and then create threads that I can screw this onto to finish the back side, and we'll be done. So I need to hollow that. Now, I had a drill bit that started just fine, but this is not going to be the same size as that drill bit, so I can't use it. I'm going to drill with my shallow fluted gouge. And since I have very little plastic in here, I'm going to go all the way through it. Still need to be a little lower. Just like drilling in wood. So I'm through. Now we can expand it out to where my mark is. Couple more cuts and I want to see if I'm straight. So I'm just curious to see how straight I am. I have it big enough, I think I can get my thing in here. Yeah, see, it's not straight. It's narrow at the bottom. That's okay, I knew that. I wanted to go all the way through. So when I cut these internal threads, I don't have to worry about a stop. I can just do like I did with the vessel. Still not very straight. So I will try it again. just pulling straight out. And we'll check it one more time for squareness. Close. Close enough that I can get it with my thread chaser. So actually the height is not too bad, but the speed is definitely too high. And now I'm going to turn an internal thread to match this external thread, so I can use one final jam chuck. Oh, still a little fast for me. I'm down to about 400. And I would like it a little higher and a little closer. And since I'm all the way through, it doesn't matter that I'm not going to run into anything. According to my marks, I got some distance to go. But it's always good to check. Well, I'm not too far away. Ooh, so close. Too tight, but very close. Being very cautious here because I don't want to mess it up by going too far, but I haven't gone quite far enough. Okay, there's my jam chuck. I can finish the top of the lid now. And let's see, what am I going to use? Back to my shallow fluted gouge. And I'm going to have to drop the tool rest because it's a fatter tool. And a little more speed. Very slow, very light cuts means I can sand less. Okay, back to where we were before. Remember, 180, 220, actually 180, 220. Steel wool and polish. So 180, I'm taking all the marks out, hopefully. Now, if you're into decorating and you have a bunch of decorative tools, this is some place that you could try a little chatter work, a little special cuts of some sort. You have the options here. Now, really, I'm just finishing the shaping here. Believe it or not, 180 is a good shaping tool. Okay, 400. And let's see about our steel wool. We still got a little bit left. If you get a lot of acrylic material built up on the steel wool, it will scratch. So you got to keep it clean too. Yeah, pretty near. So let's crystal coat it again. Now, one could do a lot better job in polishing by using other materials, try other kinds of things that'll polish. But for the demonstration, I think we've got our box done. So we have our lid. We have our box. And we have a completed project. In essence, what we've done is taken you through hollowing. It's working with acrylic, which is new. It's scraping, which is not cutting. It's using our thread chaser to create threads. And it's making 3 different sets of thread cutting in order to get this piece together. And in essence, I don't know if you like it or not, it's not necessarily my greatest shape, but it got all the parts done. And that's the project. I thought of something else to add. A little decoration to the top never hurts. So diamond point tool with no effort at all. Why not? So what have I done? Just added that.